Okay, and so let's, I'll give another quick introduction to, I'll come back to Kayla and let her talk more in just a minute, but let's go through the next person. The next guest we have today here is Morgan Means of Hero Title. Hi, Morgan. Oh, you're muted.
Mute. Hi, and good morning, everybody.
Good morning. So glad you're here.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
And from what I know of you is that you have been in real estate as an agent, right?
Yeah, so I started out, I was a paralegal for a long time. And I got into real estate. My husband and I were flipping houses. And so I got my license so that we could, go see houses whenever we wanted to, or I could list our houses. And I just kind of fell in love with it. And so I was starting law school around the same time. And I didn't know what kind of law I wanted to do. And they just kind of fell in love with real estate. And here I am.
Awesome. And then our next person that we have here today with us is Miranda Calatrello with Calatrello Creatives. And now you were in El Paso, Texas, but now you've just moved to Kentucky. Is that right?
Yes. Yep. I move all the time. My husband's military, so everywhere, but I am planted in Louisville now. So
Well, I was wondering because I saw you just bought your forever home.
yeah.
So does that mean you guys are going to be, or is your husband retiring from the military? Are y'all going to be stationed there now?
Yes, he is getting out. Hallelujah. After 6 years. So yeah, so we will be here. My family is actually from Louisville, so it is a perfect home sweet home for us. But I do travel to Birmingham a ton because a lot of our client base is still out of there. So
yes, Miranda's team is a holistic social media marketing company, which we're going to learn more about that in just a minute. But she has worked with a ton of big teams around the area of Birmingham here, and I'm excited to hear more of your insights in just a minute. And then we also have Mandy here today, Riedinger. Did I say it right? Yes, Mandy Riedinger, who is stationed in Florida with List to Close. And she also started as a one-woman show and has grown her team like enormously now, from what I can tell. And you also have some team members in Texas as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Florida.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love both states, so it's really neat that we get to work. I used to live in Texas and then was born and raised in Florida, so it's nice to be able to service both states. And the economy in both of these states are still thriving. So I'm very thankful for that too, especially in the real estate world. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Okay. So let's dive right into round it back out to Kayla. I'm interested to know more about, you've talked about sponsorship and collaboration, and here at Cambium, we are all about collaboration. That is like our business model. And so what is your strategy in sponsorship and collaboration, and how can you tell us more about that? Like, how does that affect your business, or how do you use it as a way to grow your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with sponsorship and collaboration, I think it's a very important strategy to put into place when you have a business that is not only heavily service-based, but heavily kind of like vibe-based, for lack of a better word. I think when working in real estate, there is like a high amount of trust between you and the client that you're working with. So knowing that your real estate agent supports you is one thing, but knowing that their views and the way that they operate and the way that they think is a completely other thing, right? Mm-hmm. So when you are thinking about sponsoring certain events in your community, for example, if someone were to sponsor the Woodlawn Marketplace in Woodlawn, and I just happened to go to that event, but not only am I attending that event, I'm thinking about living in that area too. And I happen to see that a realtor is sponsoring it. then I'm automatically going to think, well, let me look that real estate agent up. If they're sponsoring an event, then they probably know a lot about this community. But it's not only putting the money on the table, it's also showing up to support the event too. So if you are going to sponsor an event, you really need to be a part of the event as well. There are several different things that nonprofits and organizations will include in sponsorship packets for you. And even if they don't include things like a feature on social media or being included in content that they create for the event, that's something that you can ask for, right? So don't be afraid to ask, hey, if you're gonna, instead of making a static social media post with just my logo on it, can actually come by and record a video with y'all. We can talk about the event. I can talk a little bit about my business. I just want to support y'all in any way that I can. So not only are you putting your money out there and supporting an organization or an association, but you're also showing up and showing your face. So you're making more of a connection with the attendees of the event that are going to see your logo on that banner. Collaboration can take several different forms. Typically, when people think collaboration, they think about influencers, but I will definitely challenge you to rethink that. I don't want you to think about just influencers or mega influencers when it comes to collaboration. Collaboration can be you partnering with a mortgage company. It can be you partnering with a print shop, whether it be to sponsor an event together, whether it be to create different forms of content. That can pretty much take any form possible, but it really does two things in that case. One, it takes a lot of the some of the financial strain from you, whether it be sponsoring an event, creating an event, or just doing something that reaches out to a community or enriches your sphere. It also takes a little bit of the pressure off of you because you aren't doing all of it. Like you don't have to put as much time into it because you have this partner that's not only dedicated money, but should dedicate time too. Because like I said, they have to see your face. You have to put the time into it. It's not just a pay for it and forget it type of thing. So that's definitely what I mean when I talk about sponsorship and collaboration.
And I just have this kind of follow-up question. You are right now, Iron City Social is going to sponsor our Sidewalk Film Festival coming up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how do you even go about starting those introductions, or that process? Did they reach out to you, or did you seek them out for that opportunity? How did that develop?
I just reached out to them. I've always had a strong relationship with Sidewalk Film Festival. One of the clients that I have now has sponsored them for years. So I just sat down and had a conversation with one of their decision makers. And I was like, hey, do you need money or do you need marketing support? And they happen to need a mix of the two, which honestly, that's another thing. Sometimes they don't actually need money. Sometimes they might just need your time. Sometimes they might need an introduction. So don't be afraid to walk into these establishments or reach out to them via email or ask for an introduction from a friend, because I would have never have known about that sponsorship and known that, hey, I don't have to put just purely money down. I can donate some of my services and save a little money, but still get as much traction with that as if I had made the full monetary donation.
Oh, that is such a good point. Yeah. And just recently, I was in a networking group and we talked about that, a kind of a similar thing of just asking for a warm introduction. If you are a business owner and you need clients that look like a certain type of client or a certain type of opportunity, don't be afraid to ask a person for a warm introduction, because
yes,
so valuable.
Exactly.
Awesome. And I also am really curious about in your marketing work more specifically. So what would you say is the thing that grew your business? If you could point back or look back, was there one kind of pivotal service or offer that really grew the business and turned it from a startup to a thriving business?
Honestly, it was really word of mouth that kicked my business into overdrive. I would love to say it was the thousands of dollars I spent on social media or radio ads or something like that, but it's really word of mouth and networking that have gotten my business out there. And even with the networking component, you can still tie that back to the sponsorships that I did, because like, as the other people here can probably attest, there are a ton of businesses within the marketing world. But what really differentiated me from other businesses was the fact that like I wasn't afraid to talk to a client. I wasn't afraid to attend their events. I wasn't afraid just to have a conversation with them outside of work or introduce them to other people that would enrich their business. So it's really just getting out in front of people and really explaining who I am and who Iron City Social is, not necessarily them reading it off of a screen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you're just really promoting yourself. Is that kind of the same strategy that you would use as you're working with real estate agents or teams? Like
every single time, like all of my clients, let me think, none of my real estate clients like taking photos. They hate it. A lot of times when I start working with a realtor, whether it be a solo, a team, or an agency, they have a photo from early 90s that might even be
headshot is old.
Yes. And that's the first thing I do when I work with them. Like, we have to talk about it. Like, we have to talk about it, because it's kind of like that. I always describe it to them. It's kind of like that Tinder jump scare, where you like, they have this picture and they look like one person, and then you meet them in person and they look like another. And like, let's be real, you were dealing with millennials and you were about to deal with Gen Zs, and like, that is just going to be like a red flag to us. Mm-hmm. If we meet you in person and you look nothing like your headshot. So that's, yeah, that is like number one on the list. Get that headshot updated. And then it's really about diving into who they are as a person. Because a lot of times people will do the research to make sure you are an expert in your field on the back end. On the front end, they want to be able to like know you and really get to know you and why you're different from this agent. And that really doesn't come down to like, I've been in real estate for 30 years. It comes down to, well, I love Avondale. I've lived there for 15 years. I've bought and sold homes there. Like, I was here when this business opened. Like, it's more of it's a connection to the person, and it's a connection to the area that you are specializing in.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yes. Awesome. So I could probably talk so much more. I have so many other questions, but for sake of time, I want to open it up. Does anyone else have a question for Kayla? Anyone else like to pick her brain? All right, going once, going twice. So Kayla, tell us, first off, how can we find you, and what are you looking for in your business? Like, how can we support you?
Yeah, so you can find me online, ironcitysocial.com. All of our handles on social media are Iron City Social BHM. Honestly, I'm always open to referrals. I love laid back consultations. We can go grab a beer, we can have a cup of coffee, we can drink some tea. Tea is my vibe. I just really want to meet more fantastic business owners and help them grow their businesses.
I love that. I do want to come have a beer with you, because that is not what we have done yet.
Okay. That brought up a question for me. So a lot of the meetup conversations that you had, do you only work with more local clients, or is your work more local, or are you able to work with clients outside of your area?
I work with clients outside of Alabama in general. Like, in terms of Alabama, I have clients throughout the state, but I also have clients in Florida and Tennessee. Like, I've never had anyone reach out to me outside of the Southeast. I've done events outside of the Southeast, but it was with organizations based in Alabama. But I'm open to work with anyone, anywhere.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that, Tammy, because I actually had that on my list about your market area and I totally forgot. So perfect, it worked out. Thank you so much, Kayla, for your time today. Awesome. I want to move on to Morgan over at Hero Title. And Morgan, so you are the owner of Hero Title, right?
Yes.
Right.
I opened Hero Title in August of last year. So we're 1 year strong now.
Oh,
that
that's
I own Hero Title.
amazing. Yes. Oh, that is so cool. And I had the privilege of like being a part of a deal with you earlier in the year. And I was just so impressed at how smooth the process was on my end and the customer service that I got. Like I got on the phone with Stephanie and you guys just answered the phone and talked to me immediately, which I love, and so that was one of the things that struck me was just like how you've talked about kind of your processes and how you want to be in control of your processes. So what does that look like? How do you create a process that also has such a strong customer experience?
So at the title companies I worked at before I started Hero, we still use paper files everywhere I've been. Everybody, you would have a paper file, it would go back to the abstractor, they would search the title, bring it back, go through. I mean, it was just very, very outdated. And so there's software out there, obviously, for anything. So I wanted to be able to create a process where things automatically go out. I'm automatically asking people like, hey, are you still alive? I mean, even sometimes we would get to the closing table and people would come and say, oh, my husband isn't alive anymore. And we wouldn't have known it until they got to the closing table, right? So we ask for all of our information up front through this software, it goes out. And then also we just are always available for questions and for, help. So I have agents that call me any time of day and ask me things up front so that we don't end up having problems later. And so I really like to be in control of every single file, know what's going on all the time, and be available for communication.
And I have to ask this too, because as far as I know, you are the only female owner of a title company in this area. And I'm curious as to what made you make that decision and that leap to start and I have so many questions, but I'll just leave it there for now.
So, it really is because I'm a female that I wanted to open my own title company. And it's because I have a family and I have all these outside obligations. And when you're in, the law setting or even the title company setting, there's a specific expectation of, when you have to be at work and what you have to do. And, you can't work after hours to make up for morning. Like, I don't like that. I like to kind of be in control of my schedule. I like to be able to get home at 3 o'clock if I don't have a closing and get my kids off the bus and be there for them. So I really wanted the more flexibility in my life to be able to, I do a lot of work outside of work. So I am all the time going to late night events or taking realtors out to dinner or doing things on the weekends. And that cuts into, my time with my family. So I really wanted my weekday schedule to be flexible enough that I could be the one that takes kids to doctor's appointments or go on field trips with them or, just to be available to everybody all the time. And I don't like to think of it as a balance. I really like for my life and my job to kind of go hand in hand and both be one thing.
Mm-hmm. That was actually answering one of my other questions, because I've met so many women who have come into real estate because of the flexibility, because there's this societal double standard that women have to work like they don't have children, but mother like they don't work. And it's really challenging, but real estate has kind of given women the flexibility and empowering them to have a thriving job or a thriving business and still take care of their families. So I love that. That just really rings true for me as well. And so I'm curious now, were there any obstacles like getting started, and how did you overcome them or face them?
So one of the main obstacles is finding people who, mesh well with you that also have knowledge in the industry, especially in title, just because a lot of people who have experience in title have been with a place for a long time and they don't want to leave to go somewhere brand new, right? Especially not working for a woman that's probably younger than them. And, I had a lot of struggle finding someone who wanted to come and actually help and be good. So I found Stephanie. You've met Stephanie. She's amazing. And she's really been integral in my growth here because she is amazing. So finding good help has been my biggest struggle, just mainly because title is not, I don't know, people just don't understand that they can go into title. I guess it's not really pushed and it's not really understood like that it's a job. So I didn't really understand, I guess, when I was younger either, what this job was, and didn't even realize it was an option. I was a paralegal for 12 years and I didn't realize there were people who go out and search title or do title commitments for attorneys. Like I didn't even know. So I think it's just the knowledge of what's out there, and the young people, we need to get them into this industry.
Yes, exactly. What a great point. And I felt the same way just coming into real estate. I came in as a transaction coordinator and I had no idea such a thing existed. And I thought, why don't, we know this in high school? Why don't we know about these options that exist to us? But I think the whole world and the industry has changed just in general since the pandemic too. So I hope that we can start educating more of these young people coming up now so that this is an option. Yeah. Last question for my end is, I was wondering about, you've talked about being passionate about realtors and filling up their cup. So how does your experience play into that? And can you tell us, what do you intentionally do to fill up a realtor's cup in your business? What does that look like?
So realtors are my life. So actually, it's all relationship based, like Kayla talked about collaboration. So, I have real estate agents who call me, ask me, contract questions late at night. I have real estate agents who are my best friends and we go to each other's kids' birthday parties. And then and we talked about women in business. I always want to be helpful. Sometimes they can't get over here without their child. And I'm like, oh, Stephanie, play with the kid while we do the closing so that they can feel comfortable. I just want to make them feel comfortable in every transaction. And then also making their clients calm, taking away that stress of closing, not the unknown and them not knowing what's going to happen. I like to help them take that stress away. I also do a lot of education to agents. So I'll do CE courses, just lunch and learns. And I'm also an instructor. So I teach the pre-licensing and post-licensing course. And then I do CEs also as well. So I just really like to help them. And then sometimes it's literally filling their cups. We've had a rough closing and we walk upstairs to Moss Rock Tacos and share a picture of margaritas, I just really enjoy those relationships, and anything that I can do to make their job easier or less stress on them, I really want to go, above and beyond and do. I've opened on holidays to close deals, just anything that I can do to take that stress off of an agent, because I've been an agent and I know how stressful it can be. I always want to help and do those things.
I love that. That is so great. All right. Tell us how we can find you, how we can stay in touch, and what are you looking for your business right now? How can we support you?
So I am online. Hero Title Co. is what it's going to be on Facebook or Instagram. HeroTitle.com is our website. I'm really honestly, when I started Hero Title, I wanted to be able to do more good in the community than what I have really found opportunities to do. So I'm really looking for some opportunities to collaborate with some of these nonprofits or some of these people out in the community that are doing something good in our community. So that's kind of what I'm looking for right now, is some collaboration that way.
Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you for your time, Morgan.
Thank you.
Does anyone have questions before I move on? Anyone else have questions for Morgan? All right. So Miranda, welcome, Miranda Calatrello.
Betty, hello.
I had the pleasure of working with Miranda in 2020 and working with her team. And she did the social media marketing for my real estate team that I was with at that time. But she also does more than just social media, which I think plays into the holistic part of your marketing. Can you tell us more of what that means and tell us about that?
Sure, yeah. So for us, what I have noticed is social is just not enough to move the needle for a lot of our clients. And we do work with a lot of B2C clients as well as B2B, but specifically for the B2B category. So when we partner with a client, we try to look at all different avenues, right? So we try to look at what's their email marketing funnel? Do they have SMS text messaging? Does that make sense for them? What is the customer's journey from start to finish? So we will audit websites. We'll look at where that lead funnel is coming through, of course, or social can support organically, but also through paid media. So Facebook ads, digital ads, Google ads, Google My Business ranking pages, things like that. So we look at the full picture when we kind of figure out what that partnership looks like and what the goal alignment is. So that's what we've kind of definitely scaled from just social help, just from, creating Facebook posts and social media posts to really where can we affect change. And it absolutely it's different per person and per goals, and especially per market. So I think our customizable approach is unique in that point itself. Is that we really truly hear your goals and we align it with the right marketing efforts that make the most sense for you.
I love that because I think there's so much buzz right now about oh, you gotta be active on social and moving the business forward through social media and reels and all this. And it's yes, that's important, but really there's a lot of other ways to move the needle forward. It can't just be social.
Yeah, we found recently, not recently, but within the past year, email marketing is definitely key for most businesses. Again, that does change, but we found great success being able to create funnels, group campaigns, things like that activate your current audience. And I also like to think too, sadly, we don't own our social channels. We don't own Instagram, we don't own Facebook. So any given day, poof, they could be gone. So knowing that your email list, you do own that data and you can, no matter what, always be communicating to those clients is a great thing to have. You need that support as well. So an integrated marketing approach is definitely key long-term.
Yes. So what would your strategy be for new businesses or businesses growing to get that email list marketing or email marketing going?
Great question. Yeah. So we found the quickest and easiest way, especially for, say, a solo agent or a solo entrepreneur, is to do a giveaway. Some type of giveaway can be seasonally themed, but in order for them to enter said giveaway, you will capture their email data. People are way more likely to be able to give their email address, which is kind of the double-edged sword to email marketing, as less and less people are interested in giving you their email address in fear of spam. But if there's some type of incentive tied to it, they absolutely will. And so I would recommend giveaways. You can do partnership giveaways. So maybe you do a giveaway with multiple different people in your circle or sphere. We just did one recently. It was a beauty boost giveaway, and there was a filler, Botox filler added in, gift card. We had a facial, we had some products, things like that captured and a crazy amount of emails, and then those lists will segment to those business owners. So thinking about, not doing it just yourself, but partnering with somebody else as well to help boost that giveaway. You can do it organically, but I would put some ad dollars behind it through a Facebook lead campaign in order to capture that. And you want to immediately have a follow-up. I think that's the key to it as well, is you're capturing these email addresses. They're excited about this giveaway. Now is the time to jump. So make sure you have an email that's going out immediately after those leads capture that says, thanks so much for being a part of our giveaway. Here's the timeline. We'll release it on this day. Get excited. But also, here's some things that we have, some products, some services, some things to keep in mind. So keeping those leads in funnel is going to be definitely the most effective, but giveaways are a great partnership idea for email capture easy.
Yes. And I'm totally guilty of, I will put my email address down for anything. And then later I can use like Unroll Me or something, you know, if it's not useful for me, but if you have a freebie listed, I will totally put my email down too. I'm just like, yes, I want all of it.
And I think it's also valuable too, especially if you're starting out, like we'll do like surveys, right? So we will, you know, through our email leads, say it's for a spa, or it could be real estate. Like, what do you want to hear? What do you want information on? So maybe you have like a monthly newsletter that you send out to your past clients, you know, future clients, prospective clients. And you know, your Facebook, your Instagram or Facebook, or they're falling flat. And you're like, I don't know, people want to see, do they want to see more, you know, first time home buyer tips? Like that might be, you know what I mean? Like that's a little bit like they're everywhere. So like what's unique stuff that my, you know, potential sphere of influence really wants to hear from me. And so you can go to Instagram and like, you know, drop your questions here, drop what you need here. That's great. But you can also use email the same way. Be like, do you want more promotions? Do you want more, you know, integrations here? You know what I mean? What is the content that you want to hear from me about? And I think that's always like a good crowdsourcing, and it's helpful from an engagement email as well, because they're like, oh, they want to hear my feedback. Like they really want to know what I'm interested in, and that helps foster our leads for long-term as well and reduce unsubscribe rates. So
yes, yeah, because it's really like if we can turn the spotlight on them, it does make a big difference, I think, in our relationship. So final question. Is there, like, you've shown a lot of adapting. I just happen to know part of your background story, but you came from corporate, and then through the pandemic, you started this business. Was it just you when you started?
It was just me. I was working at Calatrello Resort and Gardens right outside of Atlanta doing their marketing. And of course, COVID shut down the entire hospitality business. So I had a good 2 months of just free time. And as a type A person, I was like, what do I do with all this time? Sit back and relax and eat Cheetos is not my vibe. So I was like, well, I was doing it on the side for a couple family members, just normally at night, things like that, maybe 2 or 3. And I was like, there seems to be a niche for support for like from agency, which I did work for an agency prior to that, agency fees, like $5, $10, $20,000 a month retainers to small business owners, which my dad is. And he's like, I can't afford that. And
Right.
Doing stuff himself. And I'm like, it's also not his skill set. So like, there has to be some, you know, I mean, some type of a mix for someone that needs marketing, but has a budget and, you know, can only do so much as they're in that scaling period, or maybe that's their fit forever at that mid-tier business. And so kind of took that idea and, you know, like Kayla had said, it's word of mouth from there. You know, there's millions of entrepreneurs out there, millions of business and small business owners that need help. And so was able to just lean into my network and build it from there. And more and more clients came. And then by the time I was ready to go back to corporate work, I had a full-fledged business and made the decision then to completely kind of go down that journey and dream, and that leads us to where we're at today. So
amazing. So what I'm gonna have to stop there, but what is your market area like?
Yes, right now it is Louisville. I'm really trying to hone in on Louisville being my main source client region. We do support everybody across the United States as well. Happy to do consultations for specifically really email marketing. SMS is really where we're channeling our efforts this upcoming year.
Yeah, you did send me an email of a free offer. Can you tell me what that is again? I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yes, yeah. We do market research as well. So if you guys want a competitive report based on your area and your market segment, you just give me your top three competitors or who you think your competitors are. I can run those numbers really easy and give you a quick rundown of here's what they're doing. Here's, here's an opportunity that they're missing, whether it's email marketing, SMS, social media, what have you, and send that over to you. So feel free to shoot me an email and I'll run that market report and get that to you. It's digital, right? So it's specific to digital marketing research there.
Nice.
Happy to do that.
Nice. So what is the email? I'm going to drop it in the chat.
Yes. Miranda at calatrellocreatives.com.
I always want to do like a
My name
double.
is very long. I can type it in here too.
Okay. And how can we support you?
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys have any networks in Louisville, that would be fabulous. But I'm also just happy to meet and collaborate with other like-minded women about business and whether it's managing people, which is definitely, I feel like, the hardest part of my days, or system operations. And I think just more female conversations one-on-one with business owners would be fabulous for me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miranda. Yeah. All right. For sake of time, if anyone has questions for Miranda, please drop them in the chat. And then let's move on to Mandy. Mandy, thank you for being here today. So Mandy and I have a similar start of both starting as transaction coordinators, like individual, independent. Actually, I didn't start independent, but I did start as a transaction coordinator. And now your team has grown so much to where you've handled over 100,000 contracts.
Probably around there.
That's just crazy. So tell us about that journey from going from an independent transaction coordinator now to having, this large business of 24 employees.
Yeah, I take a deep breath because it's been a lot of work. But when I got into, the business, I was really fueled and motivated by an ex who told me I could never succeed in business. I was a woman. I was never going to be able to do this. And I have grown up in real estate. So just kind of being vulnerable there, that was kind of like my motivation. Like, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to grow this thing past myself. Like, it's scalable. I'm going to do this. And so when I moved back from Texas, this was about 10 years ago, I decided to, basically start in real estate over again on the transaction coordinator side. So there was a lot of grit behind me. I was single at the time. I was able to really just kind of put all of my energy and efforts into building the business. But I failed completely at everything. I didn't have a business degree. I had a psychology degree, and that obviously was great. But I didn't know a lot about business. And so I had to teach myself a lot of things in order to figure out how to run numbers and how to start looking at what I needed to do in order to not run around like crazy and just work. I would literally get to the weekend and be like, okay, I'm ordering Uber Eats, I'm ordering my groceries, and I'm not going anywhere because I've worked so many hours during the week. I'm just going to Netflix the whole weekend and just take a time out. So I share those things with you, that it's been a journey in order to get where I am, but thankfully, through reputation and, Morgan, like you were sharing, like just going outside of the box every time an agent needed us. There was a couple of, a hurricane hit in Florida and in Texas within the same year, almost the same time. And so our business went down, and, I was at the grocery store calculating like, okay, how many fruits can I buy? And am I going to live off of ramen for this month? But, through those peaks and valleys, our team members of me being able to attract and kind of develop the skills of the communication, the consistent follow-up, the being there for the realtors, also at the same time attracted people to want to be a transaction coordinator because they were burnt out of, selling real estate or being available on the weekends always. And so I think really through a lot of grit and determination that got me to about 6 people. And then at that point, I was able to leverage myself out of the day-to-day. I had to go to Israel across the country in order to do that because I was so addicted to working. And so I really had to, do that part. But once I did, I didn't have this like job description of what I was going to do next. I just knew I wanted to help more agents and help more people. So from there, I was just at that crossroad. And then from that point, it's kind of just continued to grow. And I say this humbly, but talent has really kind of attracted to us. And I've attracted the same people that, want to go the extra mile, that will continue to be there for the agent, but have the work-life balance. So building trust with realtors is not for the faint of heart. That is for sure.
No, it is not. So you mentioned scaling, and what is some of the obstacles that you faced, or one obstacle you faced in scaling?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything was in my brain. I did not have, when I started, I had a computer and a notebook. This was pre technology. So I had way too much in my brain. I didn't have any systems in place. So like I said, when I got to those 6 people, I kind of hit a wall, was like, oh my gosh, we all sat in an office together. This was the time you'd actually went into offices and had, people come in. And so I literally would go around the room and be like, okay, this is this agent and this file. And I was able to train them that way, but I didn't have anything documented. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? How am I going to continue to grow if I don't have any systems or training in place or any of those things? So it was all in my brain, which, learned a huge learning lesson. Thankfully, I was able to surround myself with people that were much better at those things than I was. And thankfully, we have systems in place today that, we did not have, 5 years ago. So.
So that is what Cambium does now for business owners, is that we take what's in your brain and we document it. So just I'm going to shamelessly plug myself and my team right now, but yeah. So if any of you need systems documented and you need that out of your brain and you're just functioning on memory or whatever, that is what we love to do here. I've got a great team around me supporting me that helps me do that. So thanks for bringing that up, Mandy.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely. So if you could choose one tool or resource that really changed your business, what do you think it would be outside of getting that stuff out of your head?
Yeah, so we use a system, it's called Open to Close, to run our transactions. Of course, we use, Gmail and all these things. And so what really, when I had first started, like I said, I had the notebook. I literally had paper files with everything. I literally traveled with I brought all my files with me, went through my little checklist every day on my files. But that system has been a game changer for our business, because the way that the automation has been able to be created in there to get our file setup time down, to be able to service more agents and do more files, but not have the burnout of the team member. That system has really automated it. It used to be called TC Workflow back in the day, but it is the best system that I have found for transaction coordinators. There are a couple others. Some people use Trello when they're first starting, or TC Docs, or a lot of real estate teams use Brevity, or some of the other ones that are out there. But in order to specifically grow a TC business, I would definitely highly suggest the Open to Close if you want to have that be solely focused on the transaction part. So
gotcha. And then lastly, so you talked about just attracting people. What would you say is that secret sauce that you have, or that even your other TCs that you've trained have in attracting?
Yeah. So I have some notes here because I was trying to prepare a little bit ahead of time. But our personalized approach, because every agent works their business just a tad differently, just like the general public. So we're very customizable when it comes to realtors on order to what they need. You have your solo agent, and then you have teams, and they each have different needs. And so we really adapt to the customization, that it makes it look like we're just working for them and we're not a quote unquote third party. But we are. So we do the best that we can in order to make it seem like we're working for that agent, specifically sitting in their office. And then the other thing is peace of mind, where no one, or we don't bring anyone on our team that doesn't at least have a real estate license, because there's not a national TC license out there that's incorporated currently yet. So we require everybody to at least have experience before, they come on and join our team. And they can't just be kind of going through a time where they're slow in their real estate business, so they want to become a TC part-time. So, we really focus on those ones that are passionate about this business and going to give that agent the peace of mind. So I like to call it the street smarts of problem solving.
Nice. I love that. So tell us what your market area is and how can we support you?
So currently we service agents all across Florida and all across Texas. Those are our two service areas currently. And I also run a Facebook page for transaction coordinators. So if you know of anybody wanting to get in that field or looking into it, I also
Facebook page.
Yeah.
That has been a lifesaver so many times.
I'm so glad you're there. Yeah. So that is really, we're always wanting to work with more agents and help bring leverage into their life and into their business.
Okay. Perfect. Does anyone have any questions for Mandy? All right. And how do we find you, Mandy?
I'm going to put it in here. So our business name is List to Close MGT, like management. And I'll put my name in here as well. I have a personal and a business page on Facebook and Instagram. So I'll put both in there.
Perfect.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. So closing thoughts and final thoughts, if no one else has questions, I really am curious this is for anybody. What do you think has made just the biggest, we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but the biggest impact in taking your business to the next level?
I would say identifying like the niche, because the riches are in the niches. And so through COVID and through the virtual world, finding more and more opportunity, or whatever business you currently have, if there's opportunity to springboard into something else that could still complement your business with AI, with all the things changing. So I would say that identifying your niche and continually honing in on it is what helps you scale and widen your reach. And that might be something different. We started offering like listing services, and we started offering other things within still our realm, and they still complement the business.
Yeah.
What did you say? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Definitely agree with that. Just as a note in general, that's something I've been like thinking on very much recently, of like, what if you were just a, hospitality hotel marketer, you know what I mean? If that was your niche, and I've seen that. So I think niching down is huge. I think investing in your personal brand as well, knowing that like referrals are that's the bread of our business. And I think a lot of business owners that I talk to as well, like that's where they get 90% of their leads, 80% of their leads is through their own network. So being able, taking those photos, making sure you have headshots, making sure everything out there is like your best first impression. Which is scary to do as a business owner. Like I have a million other things to be doing. Myself and my personal profiles and or brand is the least of my worries. But you'd be surprised if a little investment in yourself goes a long way. So.
Okay, I would honestly say valuing consistency over perfection. And that's across everything, any events that you do, any marketing that you do, any like networking that you have planned. Don't not go because you don't have your hair done perfectly. Don't not post that video because you mumbled once. Don't cancel your photo shoot because you don't have the perfect outfit. Like, you have to show up, and it might not be your level of perfection. And trust me, I'm a Virgo. I am a perfectionist. It might not be to that level of perfection that you're striving for, but still, you show up consistently. You create an impact. You develop loyalty in a relationship, and that's what makes the difference.
Oh, I needed to hear that, Kayla. I'm so guilty of trying to be a perfectionist over here. I am a recovering perfectionist. I have grown tremendously, but I still struggle with that. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, then we are at time. So I will close it out and say, I think everyone's gotten their contact information from the chat, hopefully. So if you need anything that you missed and you need contact information, you can always get in touch with me too, and I can share everyone's information. So thank you all for being here, ladies. I appreciate you so much, and I've enjoyed speaking with you so much. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and week. All right, bye, take care.